Now, the other thing I wanted to touch on is you mentioned HubSpot. Now, HubSpot is a great tool. They're out of Boston. I think I don't know, the last time they ran an event, I think it was 15,000 people go to it. I've dealt with them over the years and worked with them. We've done some joint marketing exercise together based around content, and great bunch of people and incredible culture. And they thought of inbound content marketing before anyone had any idea. But content marketing's been around a long time. But they package it up and created technology for it. So HubSpot, an amazing company. What other sort of CRMs are out there now that have turned up? Because HubSpot is pretty big platform now, isn't it? So it can be quite complicated. So you sort of take a deep breath and going, okay, if I start this journey, it's going to take a fair bit of time and resources to put in place. We've used platforms and still do use Infusionsoft, which has the nickname of Confusionsoft in the industry.
I've heard that one.
So are there any simple CRMs? And that's the problem is that quite often, like you buy Word, you buy Excel, and everyone uses like 3% of it, right? So are there any simple CRMs out there for people to cut their teeth on before they dive into maybe a HubSpot that you think are great in terms of taking people from the consideration through to sales?
Yeah. Honestly, I am going to endorse HubSpot for that stage, and here's why. It's free.
Mm-hmm.
The HubSpot free version is everything you need from a B2B CRM if you're running a sales team. If you're a marketer and you're doing all sorts of different marketing and you're doing lots of different campaigns and email automations and that sort of thing, then you've got different considerations. There are actually a series of bolt-ons to HubSpot now that don't necessarily use HubSpot's own marketing automation tools that are now available and can work with the CRM. And that they can be quite useful. But what we see is most of the time people will get a lot of value out of a very simple email platform and a very simple CRM platform until they're ready to bring the two together. So, they may start with just going, okay, here are the stages of my sales process. And if they're a founder and they're just adding a couple of salespeople, that's typically where they'll be. There's a lot of people who use Pipedrive. There's a lot of people who use HubSpot. There are many others out there, but functionally, they're very, very similar. You go from one stage to another. The thing that you've got to pay attention to is what is the sales process that you're actually using? Mm-hmm. Do you have a discovery meeting, and then you have a demo meeting, and then you have a negotiation meeting, and then you have a sign-off meeting and a handover meeting? Or do you have a discovery and a case study together, for example? In some services businesses, you don't need to break it into two pieces. In some software companies, you don't need to break it into two pieces. And it really depends if you've got somebody running the whole sales cycle or whether you've got somebody booking meetings and handing it off to an account exec. So the recommendation is keep it simple and keep it cheap until you're ready to really invest. Make sure that you've documented it. Use something like Lucidchart to be able to show the flow of your sales process. Then decide what technology you need. I would always say don't go in and buy something heavy and expensive that you can't possibly commit the hours to use until you're ready to do that. Because like you say, people use 3, 4, 5% of these platforms. And if they're spending hundreds or even thousands a month on them, it's going to burn. Whereas if they're ready for it, then they'll get great return on investment from it. So I would say keep it simple. HubSpot CRM is a great CRM to start off with. If you're just starting on your content marketing journey, there are so many different ways of doing email follow-ups, lots of different email platforms out there that people can use. They don't necessarily have to be from the same brand to start off. But it's when you're getting to the point where you're going to add 1, 2 salespeople and full-time marketers into your team that they're going to want to have real strong input into what the technology they want to use is. And that's the point where you're going to get your checkbook out and really look at the investment. So, to get you from 0 to your first 10 clients, it shouldn't be a concern. You can use a spreadsheet. To get you from 10 to 100, you might start investing in something light. And then to go beyond that, you're going to be building a team of people who are going to have an input into that. And the simpler, the better to get you off the ground.